AWS, and welcome to the AWS Morning Brief. Today is Monday, June 24th, and I'm your host, cloud economist Corey Quinn, coming to you from Boston, where we're about to kick off the first Reinforce Conference, which is this episode's sponsor. This is the premier and thus far only cloud security conference named after an email subject line, and it is here in Boston tomorrow and Wednesday. In a truly horrifying turn of events, I am giving half of a track keynote at 3:15 tomorrow on Tuesday because someone at AWS has clearly lost a bet. If you're in Boston, say hello. Why should you come to Reinforce tomorrow? There are tracks for every skill level, a security jam, a CTF, a bunch of hallway conversations, smart people doing interesting things, and, of course, many things for me to make fun of. Here's a discount code that'll knock you some money off of registration for you. That's RFSAL19. That's Romeo Foxtrot, Sierra Alpha Lima 19er. I will be here until very early Thursday morning. You should too. Come to Boston. Now, that's this week. What happened last week in AWS? Well, the API gateway added a configurable transport layer security version for custom domains. That's right, you can enforce TLS 1 or 2. It's a checkbox button. Isn't that exciting? No, it's not at all. Amazon Aurora with PostgreSQL compatibility now supports data import from Amazon's S3. Awesome. So you can run their custom version of PostgreSQL that is hard to migrate off once you get addicted to the performance. Then you can import from S3 into that database directly, another custom feature. Why are you running PostgreSQL at all? That's right, so you can easily migrate between cloud providers. EKS now supports Kubernetes version 1.13, ECR private link, and Kubernetes pod security policies. So if you're a Kubernetes fan, rejoice. You're saved yet again from having to do any actual work by more Kubernetes feature releases. I swear you folks are becoming the infrastructure equivalent of the Rust community. Amazon Lightsail has partnered with GoDaddy to simplify WordPress management. Congratulations to Amazon on yet another fantastic partner spotlight pick. It's certainly not every day that you can find a partner with as many controversies surrounding them as AWS has service offerings. Who doesn't just love working with GoDaddy, voted 2019's Registrar of Last Resort? So, back to releases. Amazon QuickSight now supports fine-grained access control over S3 and Amazon Athena. That's right. There's an exclamation point in the release notes. Please use QuickSight. We'd love to have a customer someday. Our families will starve. Please? They're now announcing enhanced Lambda at Edge monitoring within the Amazon CloudFront console. Holy crap, you can monitor Lambda at Edge functions now? I thought the way that it was supposed to work was you would just deploy them and then they disappeared. They didn't show up ever again in any form of monitoring dashboard, and you just sort of assumed that they worked. And the only way that you know they're there is by the bill steadily increasing. In a similar vein, the Lambda console now shows recent invocations using CloudWatch log insights. I get it. Partnering two companies together is super hard, and it takes a long time. After many months of effort, a new partnership has launched between AWS Lambda and the Amazon CloudWatch logs teams. Congratulations. I'm sure the legal negotiations were super tricky between those two completely different companies who are not allowed to talk to one another. And after the result, they're now able to offer similar functionality to what Epsagon and IOPipe have been able to offer for years now. Good hustle. Good hustle. Bluetooth Low Energy support and new MQTT library now generally available in Amazon Free RTS 2019006.major. Ow, I fell asleep and reading that headline and almost broke my nose on the desk. Can we get a pillow in here? Thanks, I need a pillow. Thanks. Amazon CloudFront has announced 7 new edge locations in North America, Europe, and Australia. Great, 7 new locations, and not a single one is in a new city. which means the one reason that I, or frankly anyone, cares about additional CloudFront edge locations is so that I can put a new pin on the physical infrastructure map hanging on the wall above my desk. But because these are not new cities, I don't even get to put a new pin up. Congratulations, you've taken something boring and largely useless for everyone and taken the one interesting thing out of it. Introducing AI-powered speech analytics for Amazon Connect. I'm just going to come out and say that. Given the Connect is their managed contact call center software, and AI-powered speech analytics will give you things like sentiment analysis on folks. I'm just going to say this. If you need an AI-powered system to tell you that a customer is ripshit furious, you don't need an AI-powered system. You need customer service who can fog a mirror. Hire smarter people. Introducing new instance sizes for Amazon's C5 instances. That's right. Bigger, faster, stronger, more confusing. Same specs between the C5.24x large and C5.metal. Not available in Ohio. This is a classic EC2 instance release. The team reverts to type. Ooh, a new dynamic vegetation system in Lumberyard Beta 1.19 is now available. I'm clutching my pearls over this one. There's a new dynamic vegetation system in a beta version of a game engine that virtually no one uses. Be still my heart. You can now add endpoint policies to interface endpoints for AWS services inside of VPCs. That's right, another reason that things will mysteriously not work the way that someone thinks they will once you turn these on. Oh boy. You can now use IAM Access Advisor with AWS organizations to confidently set permissions guardrails. And I love the idea, but everything about this enhancement goes against the narrative of being able to do anything in the world of IAM with any degree of confidence whatsoever. The edge cases around this are perilous. You're either going to be granting way too much access where you shouldn't be, or removing access that only gets used in infrequent yet incredibly important situations. Worst of all, I don't really have a better idea for this. There's no easy answer. This seems like an intractable problem, and I don't envy the people tasked with solving it. This is a genuinely hard issue because usability and security and capability are always going to be at odds with each other. Amazon RDS now supports storage auto-scaling. My ass it does. Yeah, this enhancement lets you automatically expand storage. And yes, that's good and it's important, but that's not auto-scaling. That's automatically getting bigger and charging you more for it. If it can't scale back down, it's not auto-scaling. It's just embiggening. The entire point of the cloud, at least the selling point that everyone talks about, is elasticity. And that requires being able to scale back down when you don't need things anymore. Scaling down database storage, when appropriate, continues to be an intensely manual process. And that's annoying. Reduced prices on P3 reserved instances in the two AWS China regions, one operated by Synet, or Synet, however they pronounce it, and the other one operated by NWCD. I swear, if they use this to increment their X price cuts since we launched AWS metric they like to trot out from time to time, I will flip a table. These two are very small, restricted price cuts in regions that are operated by other companies. It does not count. You do not get to increment that counter by one. You can now publish Amazon Neptune audit logs to CloudWatch. Neptune, of course, being their giraffe database. This smacks of, okay, folks, it's hustle time. If we don't support audit logs in CloudWatch soon, QLDB is going to launch and do it instead and absolutely eat our lunch in the most embarrassing fashion we can imagine. But what do I know? You can now prompt users to reset their AWS managed AD passwords proactively. So, story time. Once upon a time, I worked for a company with IT being run by some form of dumpster goblin. And every 60 days, we had to rotate our passwords. Now, if you wind up doing this in your company, knock it off. Even NIST no longer agrees that this is a best practice. But what made this dumpster goblin's IT environment extra special and wonderful was that if you forgot to rotate the credential on one of your devices, like your tablet or your phone or one of your computers that has access to the email, then the one that didn't get rotated would keep using the old password. After a certain number of tries, the entire account would get locked out, and you'd have to call the help desk to resolve it. Ideally, being able to proactively prompt will start to get away from that sort of pattern, but honestly, I don't deal with Microsoft's Active Directory enough to care anymore. Thank you for indulging my pointless ramble. This podcast has been sponsored by Reinforce. At the beginning of this show, I referenced a discount code, but so you don't have to rewind, here it is again. RFSAL19. That's Romeo Foxtrot, Sierra Alpha Lima 19er. Why should you use that code? Well, one, it saves you money. But the bigger question is, why should you come to Reinforce? Because security is always going to be an afterthought until it's too late. And right now, it's not too late. There are talks for a bunch of different use cases, whether you're a business exec, an InfoSec individual contributor, whether you're deep diving into a various specialty arena. There are hundreds of sessions from leading experts in the field and also me. Again, that code is RFSAL19. And if you use it, just drop me a line. Let me know that you're here. I'd love to meet some folks who listen to this nonsense. I will catch up with you here in Boston. There is a blog post on how to sign up for a leadership session at Reinforce. And one of the highlighted sessions that they mention is the one that I'll be speaking in. So they mention my name. In the off chance that you haven't made your plan for this week, feel free to take a look and sign up for that session. But you know that having to put my name in yet another post on the AWS blog absolutely steamed some people at AWS. It's nice being a community villain. There's a post on the security blog as well, where you go from IAM policies and principal tags to standardized names and tags for AWS resources. And that's great, but principal tags has always just struck me as amusing, because first there were tags, now there are principal tags. And if they work hard enough and demonstrate a sufficient mastery of the Amazon leadership principles, then one day those principal tags might become distinguished tags. And lastly, there was not an announcement about this. They did it quietly, but I saw it. The EKS service has been renamed, and no, I'm not kidding. What was originally AWS Elastic Container Service for Kubernetes has been renamed to simply Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, which kills the joke that I've been making for over a year around its incredibly convoluted name. Now, this is exciting and awesome, and I know why they don't want to admit publicly that they did this. They just flipped a switch and called it good. But all they've really done is validated my ranting like a loon at AWS on Twitter every week in order to spark change. It worked because I've been making fun of it for ages. And now they've changed the name. And here we are. And that is my curated list of what happened in the world of AWS last week. I'm Corey Quinn. I'm a cloud economist at the Duckbill Group, where we make your AWS bills smaller and less horrifying. You can read the annotated newsletter version of everything I just mentioned via lastweekinaws.com, but you've just heard my deeper thoughts, analysis, snark, and screaming. I'll be in Boston the rest of this week. Thank you once again to Reinforce for sponsoring this podcast and helping get it off the ground. And I will talk to you all next week. Go forth, learn things, win state, go team. And thank you for listening.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.